in. I'm excited to have you here. We'll get started in just a few moments.
While we're waiting to admit folks, just a quick commercial for what we've got on for programming. Coming up at the end of April, April 29th to May 1st, is our 2026 International Gleaning Symposium, and it's going to be held in sunny San Diego in partnership with Senior Gleaners of San Diego County. You can attend in person, and so that's $200 to attend, or you can attend online. That's $75. So registration is open. We've got an amazing lineup of speakers and presentations dealing with a lot of the key issues that were brought up as we interviewed over 100 of you for our Gleaning Census report. And part of that symposium agenda will be reviewing the results of that report. Coming up in May, you can start ordering the report. But we're going to be talking a lot about volunteer engagement, about gleaning logistics, about telling our story. So I hope you can join either in person or online. That's my commercial. I'll hand it over to Sean.
Well, we're really excited today to be talking about corporate engagement and how to engage corporations with your gleaning organization. It's something that came up both in the census and in the interviews we're doing with you all, that some of you are engaging corporations, some wish they were. So we're excited to have a conversation about that. I think the best way to get started, and sorry, I'm flying a little blind for a second here because the power went off just before this call, so I'm waiting for the internet to come back to my computer with my notes here. But we are going to get started with just some brief introductions of our three presenters. We're going to start with Pamela. She's going to share a little bit about her organization, and then we'll go to Hillary, and then we'll end with Robin. And then I just have a series of questions for them. But if you have questions, drop them in the chat, unmute, raise your hand. Always when I'm running these coffee chats, I hope that they're conversations less and less presentations. So yeah, we'll have a conversation between the four of us, and hopefully the others of you will join in as well. So Pamela, I'm going to give it to you for a second. Pamela's coming to us from Reno, so yeah, a really cool grassroots organization there. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Sean. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Pamela Zamora. I am the executive director and founder of the Reno Gleaning Project. I know there's a lot of different kind of gleaning projects out there. Reno Gleaning Project is a residential gleaning project. So we pick fruit trees on private property and we deliver that food to local nonprofits that feed people. I am probably being asked to do this talk because I came from the corporate world and I designed the Reno Gleaning Project kind of in a corporate sales model and positioning this food as a super premium luxury product that everybody should want and no one should want to waste. And so I have always engaged corporate support. I've always had a corporate job. There are no paid employees at the project, so we're all volunteers, and most of my volunteers actually are corporate people. So can we go to the next slide so that I can tell you guys about that? Or do you want me to do my presentation, or do you want everyone to introduce themselves first?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so some of the ways that we engage corporate support is, for one, all of our media and advertising is done through free spots on our local news. Most of our local news organizations and many of our private publications are looking for human interest stories. And so I do several of those per year. And I get all of that for free. And then the connections that I make with the organizations like our local News 8 got me a PR scholarship for an entire year. They did public education for an entire year about gleaning culture, what it is and what it does. Because I'm sure we all experience in our universe where people have no idea what that word even means. And so we educate the community through free media. We also receive free printing services through scholarships from our local printers. So that's something that you can always ask for. And my mantra for this whole presentation is ask and you shall receive. We receive products and services from our local organizations. We've had equipment donated. We got ladders at cost. We got our pick and sticks donated a pallet at a time. We get all of our raffle prizes and silent auction items donated. And we've had a lot of food and product donated for our fundraisers, as well as we have our local tree care professionals, arborists, doing free talks at our fundraisers, which people then come and pay to get the education at the fundraiser. So that's how we're fundraising, is by renting a place, cooking. We're a really small organization, so our board cooks. We use a lot of gleaned product in our cooking. It's a private event, less than 100 people, but people are willing to pay a premium to have that gleaned food and get that free education that our arborists donate their time and talent. And the last thing, we utilize corporate labor by advertising on a site called Benevity. And I would encourage you to write that down, Benevity. Any 501c3 nonprofit can register on Benevity for free. And then corporate organizations that are looking for team building events or give back opportunities in their specific zip codes can go on to Benevity and learn about your project. And so that's been the biggest way that I've gotten new corporate organizations that I'm not personally associated with through my business to call me and ask, hey, can we do a group picking event with your organization? And some of those organizations have unrestricted educational grants that they will give to your organization when you conduct the event. And I experienced that a few times with Pfizer. I also experienced that with Whole Foods, Intuit, and Microsoft. And so those are all organizations that if they have facilities in your state or in your area, you might approach them. If they don't, just approach all the big companies in your area. And I think you'd be surprised to find out about their corporate giving programs and how much they want to do something outside with fresh air versus something that's stuffy and boring and sad. Because what we do is beautiful and awesome and great. Last slide. Next slide, I guess.
Is
That's
this the one?
That's kind of tiny. Yeah, it is tiny, but these are some questions that Sean asked us, like, do you charge companies to be involved with you? We have not done that yet, but I'm going to start asking a little bit more aggressively. Do you have a give back program or a matching program, which many of them do, that if their employee gives a certain number of hours, they'll send you a grant for a certain amount of money. And we haven't charged people. We do group picking events for groups like Boys and Girls Club, and some of our other private schools that have like leadership teams. So we do lots of teams that we would never charge for. But when corporations do it, they're getting a team building event for free. And so it makes sense to actually ask them, or even just suggest a donation. You don't have to say we're charging you for this, but a suggested donation would be $2,500 because that's how much they pay for a corporate team building event. So it's not out of line to ask for a suggested donation. How do we recruit corporate partners? I told you guys Benevity. I also recruit all of my client base. I have an insurance business, so I talk to a lot of companies and I invite them all to Glean. I encourage my pickers to do the same and to build teams with their working groups. I have not turned away a corporate partner yet. What the companies get out of this relationship is instant gratification because I ask them to commit 4 hours. They meet me at the Glean. I bring all the equipment. They do the picking, they sort and bag the donation, and we take it directly to the food bank or target organization of their choosing. from our list of partner organizations. So they get it's a yard to table experience for them, and they get that instant gratification of seeing the work they've done and the time and talent they've donated come to fruition, so to speak. Um, what I get is quality compensated supervised labor. So these people show up with their manager and the manager watches them work. And oftentimes they're on the clock when they do this. And so, as you well know, volunteer labor is kind of hard. It's kind of hard to boss those people if you're not giving them any money. But these people bring their boss. And sometimes I bring the news, and the news films the whole interaction. So it's a form of conspicuous conservation that I market to them as a premium team building opportunity. That this is a way for you to show the community that you're giving back, that you're not just a greedy corporate organization trying to make money. You're actually willing to take and mobilize your static labor resource, get your people out, do a little bit of work. I certainly pick the properties appropriately so that it's a clean, well-organized property, for a large group event. Not all properties are appropriate. So I have to choose the place wisely. It has gone wrong. Has it gone wrong? Well, yes, it has. It's gone wrong when I have not chosen the right property. If the property is a mess, that's not a good place to take a corporate group. I've also found that, gleaning isn't for everybody. It's hard work. And some people actually, I've had a corporate group where people were actively complaining while doing the picking, like, I can't believe you got us here to do all this work for free. And I was like, okay, gleaning's not for you. So, as you might imagine, those people never came back and they never gleaned again. But I get new people from Benevity every year that want to participate. And I do have some organizations that come back year over year. So I feel like the Benevity connection is useful. Um, and I think that's about it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Let's let the other two presenters introduce their works, and then we can take some questions from there. Um, Hillary, why don't you go ahead and share about your organization?
Yeah, so I don't have slides, so I'm just gonna talk at you all for a few minutes. I'm Hillary Hust-Barber. I manage the gleaning program for Salvation Farms in Vermont. I've also managed a gleaning program in central New Hampshire for a conservation district. And I also serve as the co-chair of the board for the AGO with Lisa DeSantis from Cocoa Harvest. And I also serve as the backbone for the Vermont Gleaning Collective. So I work with a few different organizations that engage corporations differently. We are currently serving the most rural parts of a very rural state. Let me say rural one more time. So we have only a handful of large corporations that we work with, but they impact our program tremendously. Actually, just yesterday, my ED was telling me that we got about $35,000 in grants and donations from three different local businesses. Yeah, just for the gleaning program specifically. Our gleaning program has two paid staff, me and one other person. I don't know if Sierra's on this call or not, but she's my gleaning expert. And we rely on about, I'd say probably on average around 200 volunteers per year. Usually our largest gleans are with groups of like 30 people from like dealer.com, National Life Group, and Fidelity Insurance. That was the other one. We've had a really successful run with those corporations. We also work with local small businesses, hospitals, doctors' offices to get their staff out cleaning with us. And we get, I mean, those groups are sometimes only like 3 to 5 people, but they'll come out and pick 3,000 pounds of apples in a couple of hours because they're excited to be there. Um, I also just put out my first Glean announcement on Benevity today. Um, and we actually engage most of our volunteers through a custom built tool that the Vermont Cleaning Collective built over the course of a few years. And I often ask the volunteer opportunity managers at these corporations to sign up for Glean announcements through our platform so that they can see gleaning opportunities from Salvation Farms and from the other members of the Vermont Gleaning Collective. So they're not like limited to us, and that's a way for us to support our partners locally. And we don't ask corporations to pay to glean with us right now. We do work with organizations that have sponsorship opportunities for corporations, where they'll like sponsor a glean, or a series of gleans. And we're looking into what that might look like for us coming up. But the way that our corporate partners function for the most part is that they give grants based on like experience working with an organization. So we've been working with one corporation to move up in the grant tiers that they have to offer. And the way that their tiers work is it's voted on by staff. So the more employees we can get out cleaning and getting behind our cause, the more money we can get each year. And they give 3-year grants. So it's each cycle. And our gleaning program is actually mostly paid for by individual donors. But we have a lot of fun getting different groups out gleaning. And we move about 75,000 pounds of food every year. I think we haven't had anything go wrong. I feel like that could really easily jinx me. Though I have two odd things that have happened on corporate gleans, and one was the farm had us dig potatoes, and a woman came with fake nails that were like super long and bright orange. So she filled out labels for me. And I had another group take it upon themselves to set up a snack table in a greenhouse that we weren't using. Luckily, the farmer thought that was hilarious. And they had Dunkaroos, so I was okay with it. Um, I think, does that cover all the questions, Sean? I can't like
I'll,
split my
I'll,
screen.
I'll circle back to the questions. Let's have Robin introduce what the work they do down at Cross Ministries, and then we'll go from there. Robin, why don't you tell us a little bit about the work you do at Cross Ministries, and then
Thank you,
I'll
Sean.
ask you a few questions.
All right, thank you. I'm Robin Riles. I am the Gleaning Program Director at Cross Ministries here in Palm Beach County, Florida. We cover Palm Beach and Martin counties primarily. We are actually up to 11 growers now this year. We have brought 2 new growers onto our team. We are 48 years strong here in Palm Beach and Martin counties. And if you did not know, I will enlighten you that Palm Beach County is the largest agricultural county in the state of Florida. So we are blessed to glean and harvest almost 11 full months out of the year. We do everything from farm harvesting to backyard harvesting. We do not turn hardly anything away. We love to glean. And we do work with the Society of St. Andrews throughout the state. So if there is an opportunity that we cannot get to, they will help us out. And if there is an opportunity that they cannot get to, we will go and get it. If we have the resources, which we do. We have 5 full-time pickup trucks that are very able to go out and get stuff. Some of you might have joined us 3 years ago for this symposium. Today, as a matter of fact, we harvested almost 5 tons of bok choy in 2 hours with 4 people. Yep. And that is an average for our Thursdays. We also, at the same time, did approximately probably about 3,000 pounds of potatoes with a school of children, 40 children, in about 2 hours at the same time. This is an average day for us. We do schools twice a week, and then we do individuals and corporates the other 2 to 3 days during the week. We have a gleaning staff of 2 people, and then we are very, very fortunate to have a third person 2 to 3 times a week, and that is Emily, our Director of Outreach, who has been with our gleaning program longer than myself. And we're very fortunate to have her on staff with us. She helps recruit our schools, and she is also on gleans that I cannot be on myself. So we recruit mostly with big corporations through like the United Way. We recruit with like the AmeriCorps. We recruit, as I said, a lot with schools, private schools, public schools, charter schools. We have schools that come back to us sometimes 3 times during the school year. They bring their entire middle school. And then, of course, their senior class has to do a senior service project. So they will bring us. We do group sizes anywhere from 10 is our minimum, and we go all the way up to 200 participants. So far this year,
Robin,
yes, Sean.
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You mentioned you're working with corporations 2 to 3 times a week, and I know you guys glean 11 months a year, so that's a lot of corporations. How many corporations on average are you guys working with a year? And are you seeing a lot of the same corporations send people out multiple times? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we see corporations like FP&L. We see corporations like Wells Fargo, Bank of America. We see the clerk's office. We see a lot of the local banks, a lot of churches. We get a lot of churches. We get a lot of, and these are all repeats. They come back every year. We get a lot of temples and synagogues. We get, as I said, the United Way. The United Way recruits for us on a monthly basis. Twice every month, they send out groups of a minimum of 25 participants, and they do their own recruiting for us. Let's see, other big groups are as AmeriCorps. We use a Sign Up Genius. If anybody uses that platform, that's a really easy, free well, we've moved up to the next level now because we have so many signups. We also use JotForm as a sign-up platform that works very well for us. But these groups just keep coming back. But a lot of churches, a lot of schools, and then we use our website, our newsletters, and then these groups, they just keep coming back. They keep coming back. We start August 1st is our calendar year, and it goes all the way through July 31st. So with that date in mind, we have already recruited 1,884 volunteers up through this week. And we have already collected we have probably 7 outstanding weights, and we've collected 209,000 pounds as of right now, but we have about 7 weights outstanding, significant weights outstanding. So we're well over 200,000 pounds. So by the end of the year, we will be probably close to 500,000. We glean everything from sweet corn to cabbage to tomatoes. We're heavy into tomatoes right now. Potatoes. We do a lot of potatoes. We do zucchini and squash, carambola, avocados, mangoes. We have a mango grove of 350 trees that we maintain during the summer. It's 20 acres. So, yes. And Cross focuses on food insecurity. So we don't just have a gleaning program. We have 10 food pantries. Those are brick and mortar and pop-up food pantries where we go out into the public. We set up a food pantry in a parking lot and we serve the public. And we also have a hot meals program where we are feeding 90 homebound people a week, 5 hot meals a week. And we do lunch 5 days a week as well, a hot meal program 5 days a week. So the 90 homebounds plus the lunches, plus we have our pantries, plus we have our gleaning program. So we are a well-rounded food feeding program. Then I'll leave it at that. You can ask. Yes, sir.
I'm sure that you didn't start out with a corporate gleaning program that was 100+ events a year. Can you talk about how long it took you to build that and how you guys went about building that program? I know this was probably before your time, but so you also know of it.
Yeah, I started out as a volunteer, so I do know a little bit about that. Before I came on board as staff, I was a volunteer for 9 years. So we did start out as a smaller company with just a couple of little trucks. We got a couple growers and we just started out small. So we would pack food to the back of our trucks and we would find a partner and we would get it to the food banks. So everything that we do, our farmers donate it to us. We find volunteers to help us pick it and pack it. We pack it to the back of our trucks. If we do not have a partner, we bring it to the food banks. We donate it to the food banks and the food banks donate it out to the people. So money never, ever exchanges hands between the grower, us, and the people. Everything is always given away for free. We never ask for money from our clients or for the volunteers that come to us either. Everything is free. So when we first started out, that's the way it was.
Can I ask a question about that free? Do you find that your corporate partners donate to you as well, those who are coming out and volunteering regularly, even though you're not asking, or do you find that they don't usually support you?
They are supporting us, and our gleaning volunteers are also supporting us directly to the gleaning program. They're sending in their donations. And they're also supporting us in events, and they're supporting us with their monthly or quarterly donations. Overall, even though we're a 503c, but overall to run Cross, we're a $5 million company. So we need $3 million in donations to keep the overhead going. I think that's how it's spoken properly. I see Anne has a question.
You go ahead. I know there's several questions in the chat. Go ahead, Ann, if you want to ask
Sorry.
a question.
Yeah, this kind of goes with one of the questions in the chat. How much of the land that you are gleaning, because you said you oversee a mango orchard, how much of that is in your control and how much of that are you at the whim of the farmers?
Except for the mango grove, all of it is at the growers. They have control over everything. The mango grove is the only thing that we actually manage. They own it, but we manage it throughout the year.
Because we're
We have-
also in Florida. Yeah, we're also in Florida. I just came from a collard green glean this morning, but that call actually came in on Monday. You know, it was a CSA, they'd gotten their orders, they do their boxes on Wednesday. He knew he was going to have a whole 100-foot row of collard greens left today that wouldn't hold until next Wednesday. And so we did 2 pallets of collard greens today, but we get those calls on Monday. So, or 2 to 3 days behind. So we have not found the ability to schedule things the way that it sounds like you're able to do with such frequency.
We have our growers and we call them every Monday. Every Monday, I contact our growers and say, what do you have for me? And they will tell me every Monday, either yes or no. And we've been working with them for so long that you just build that up. What do you have for me? And they will let you know.
How big would you say that Monday list is? Is that 10 farms? Is that 25 farms?
It's 9.
9. Okay.
Because I have 11 growers, and 9 of them are now, 2 of them are for the summer. So every Monday I contact all 9 of those growers. What do you have for me? And they will let me know. And then I work my week around that.
I do have a feeling that Robin's 9 growers represents a lot more acreage than many of the others of your 9 growers. I've seen these farms; they're gigantic. So it is one of the advantages of where she's at.
Yeah, that is. I mean, there are thousands of acres. So yeah, Sean's been here. He's been on property. So some of you came a couple of years ago.
Hillary, can I ask a question of you? If I remember right, Hillary, you all do some events sometimes with corporations. It's like this farm to table or farm dinner with the farmer. Am I remembering right about this experience? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about it, Hillary?
Yeah, we do an annual farm to plate, like on farm fundraiser, and we accept sponsorships for that dinner. And we, similar to Pam, we serve gleaned food at that event. It's by Vermont standards, it comes at a premium cost, and it's about. I think my boss is on the call, Tony, but I think it's around $100 a head, and we can only have about less than 200 people at it. And we work with local businesses. We have a local brewery who serves beer. We have a small college in the area that does all of the cooking for us, and the farm. We pay to use one of their event greenhouses. This evolved from, we used to do a concert series, actually. That was our Salvation Farms Aid concert every year, but we found that wasn't as aligned with our mission as doing an on-farm dinner. And we've seen a lot more success in fundraising with an on-farm dinner. It's also like, I don't know, New England in the fall is beautiful. You know, we get all the leaves changing, and this farm is small. I think every farm we work with is small now, I think the largest one that I have is 200 acres in production. Um, uh, yeah, and I
Uh,
think, yeah.
could I ask you another question since you're already
Mhm.
unmuted? There's been this conversation going on in the chat, which is how do people, corporations need predictability, right? They're not going to say we're going to do a volunteer event sometime in June. They want to do a volunteer event from 2 to 4 on June 12th. Um, how do you go about matching that with the unpredictable nature of gleaning? And sort of, Anne was talking about this a minute ago of the unknown of what you're going to be able to glean when. And I'm curious how this is a struggle for people. How do you match those two?
Yeah, this is something we revisit every year. We have roughly 40 farm partners that we work with, and the size of those farms ranges anywhere from a half acre to 200 acres. And with our larger farms, we set up a regular day every year. Every week, every year, it's a different day of the week. But we set it up in advance with them. Like right now, we do annual farm visits. We visit every single one of our farm partners and we talk about the season that's coming, corporate groups that we're looking to engage this year, the day of the week that works best for them for us to come and glean. And we have 3 or 4 farms that we have a strong enough relationship with where we can say, hey, Richie, I'm going to be here every Thursday from 9 to 1. And that's when I try to engage corporate volunteers. We also have to consider where our farms are because we're not anywhere near these like corporate centers or I think the largest city near us is Montpelier, which is the capital, and the closest farm is still probably 20 miles outside of the capital. So we work with the farm to say, hey, I'm going to be here every Thursday. I want to have corporations here. I want to have, like, what group size are you okay with me engaging on the farm? Can I have up to 30, 40 people come? And, oh, they want to come in late August. Can we plan on a corn glean? And then I set up several possible dates with the corporations to say, hey, it might rain or this crop might fail. So let's set up like August 28th, September 4th, and September 10th. And chances are one of those days is going to work. Hopefully. And and if we're not able to have them come out glean with us, I've started offering to go to the business and talk to them about gleaning and bring gleaned food and so they can still engage with our work in a different way. And I've also designed a new program for edible landscaping with gleaned food this year to engage local businesses.
Thank you, Hillary.
Mhm.
Pamela, how do you guys handle the unpredictability of a fruit season or, corporations needing exact locations or dates and times? Is that something that affects you guys at Reno Gleaning Project?
It definitely does because we don't glean any farms. Okay, so we're gleaning individual homeowner requests and we require that everybody make a new request every year for each tree. And so some of these properties have multiple trees. The good news is that after 18 years, we've established a rhythm and we know roughly when the fruit is going to be ready. And one thing that I know about my volunteer group, because I recruited a bunch of like drug reps and realtors and insurance agents and all these other corporate people that have flexible schedules and are driving around anyway doing their business. They can afford to drive and do the glean. Usually a lot of times we do the gleans in our business clothes and we publish pictures of that because it's kind of like a shock jock. Like people are like, I don't have time to glean. And I'm like, I just gleaned in platform heels so you can do it. And but we need, you're right. Corporations want buttoned down, tucked in, and they want a date. So like Robin, we use Jotform. We have a group picking application on our website. I direct people from Benevity to that. And so they apply and for the opportunity to glean with us because it is a premium opportunity and it is a free team building event. So they're saving money by not having to go pay for the ropes course. And I asked them, how big is your group? What are a couple dates that you'd like to give and timeframes? The minimum time frame that I offer is 4 hours. It takes them to 4 hours to get there, to glean, to sort and pack, and to donate. And I want them to have the yard to table experience because it's more gratifying for everyone. And I'm going to give them a small gleaning culture lecture because in the business world, it is a very hard thing to teach corporate employees corporate responsibility and to be a good steward of company resources. And so teaching gleaning culture and a gleaning mindset, I'm actually offering that as part of the experience. We are going to actively engage in reducing waste in this community. And we are going to take the shame of waste because it is shameful and it's sad and it makes our homeowners sad when that fruit is falling on the ground. Most of my homeowners are elderly and they physically cannot pick the fruit and they're watching it fall on the ground and they're devastated. We take that, we run it through the project, and it comes out the other end as the pride of provision. Then we elevate that homeowner and we elevate those employees. Now you're a provider in this community. You're like a farmer, and we don't actually have any commercial farming in Reno. So that's a pretty big deal. Like we're at 5,000 feet, we're a high altitude gardening area. And so by elevating them, it changes the experience for them because now they really feel like you are a knight in the gleaning army. And I actually take the picking stick and I knight them. You are a fruit savior. Thank you for your service. And it sounds really dramatic and it is ridiculous. I encourage you all to take it to that level and then take it another 30% higher, however odd it feels. If when you elevate it in people's mind that they're really doing something that matters and they actually deliver the fruit and they see these, the most needy people in our community and children running towards them as they come with their full fruit crates, asking to see the plums and taste the cherries. It's life changing, really. I have a small manic episode each time.
I love that, Pamela. I love this idea of like you're really you're really engaging these organizations around the cause. And I've actually heard this question so many times from other gleaners. It's like, how do we really engage these corporate volunteers? They come out one time and they when we never see them again or never hear from them again. But I really love the active effort that you are to showing them the importance of it, teaching them about it, and like really trying to make it fun and exciting to engage them. So
I would also
I haven't.
encourage.
Oh, go ahead.
I would encourage you, and it may sound trite, but it's helpful that when they show up, that at least one person from the organization is wearing the business clothes. And it sounds crazy, but buy business clothes that are washable, for one. I do change out of the platforms now in my advanced stage into clogs, but they're clogs that match the business dress. And I say to them, like, this philanthropy is business. Giving back to the community and showing the community that you're not just a greedy money monger, just trying to shove your product down their throat and get your money. Like that doesn't actually make people want to do business with you. What makes people, and there's very good data out of Harvard showing that corporate philanthropy makes companies more successful, makes companies more connected in their communities, and improves their bottom line. So don't miss the opportunity to sell it, but sometimes people need to see someone that looks like them. The people are very xenophobic, and if everybody looks like a gardener and in their grubby clothes and their overalls, which I totally do that too on the weekend. But when you're engaging a corporate group, even if you put a blazer over your overalls, it will have a drastic effect. Like you'll be shocked. And I'm not suggesting that you go to a fancy store and buy it. I am suggesting that you go to the thrift store and buy it because there's a lot of beautiful blazers at the thrift store. I am 85% thrifted clothing. 13 bucks, kids. 13 bucks. So you don't have to, you can glean the thrift store for good clothes too. But sometimes dressing like you mean business lets people know you mean business. And a uniform is a request to be taken seriously. And if you're dealing with business people, you dress in their uniform, and it has a really interesting effect on their psyche. They see themselves easier as a gleaner in that way. I hope I didn't offend anybody by that, but it's worked for me.
That's great. I love that. There's a comment in the chat. If you have any materials or flyers, if you'd be willing to share them out with the group, it's for corporate coordination or corporate recruiting, that would be awesome. I'm curious if you ever turn away corporations that aren't a good fit. You talked a little bit about sometimes it isn't a good fit. And so I have like this follow-up question is like, when it isn't a good fit, how do you manage that fallout? The last thing you want is, people speaking ill about your organization out in the community. How do you manage the fallout? And also, I'm curious if you ever turn people away.
I haven't had to do it, but I have learned with some of the groups that we've had picking for us that it's just not an appropriate opportunity for people who don't actually want to do physical labor, or in a more egalitarian sense, it's not appropriate for people if they have a lot of alter-abled people. Some people can't pick if their group is too old, or even in the case, sometimes the groups are really young. And I've found that any child below the age of 16 it's like herding cats. It's real, they really can't do the work. Like they don't have the attention span. And people that are older than 60 probably shouldn't be on ladders. And so what I've found is by clearly defining the opportunity, by making sure that they understand that I'm going to tell them where they're gleaning 1 week before the event, because I need to make sure that I have an appropriate location with the right amount of food. I will not take a group that's more than 25 people, because I don't have any residential gleans that can tolerate any more than 25. So if someone's like, we need an event for 150 people, it comes to my mind now that I have actually told someone that I can't accommodate that many people in a private yard because it freaks out the homeowner. And so what I usually do is I refer them to Reno Food Systems, which is a partner, also a client of mine. They have a farm and they have rows that need to be weeded, and they're always looking for more volunteers. And so I will refer those larger groups, that don't fit. But if you clearly define your opportunity, you define the number of people you can accommodate. Having the jot form asking how many people and when they want to do it is going to tell you a lot about what you're harvesting during that time. We all have a cycle, like we have a 7-year drought cycle here. And so every 7 years we get no fruit. And that's happened twice now in the 18 years that I've been with the Gleaning Project. And so it's kind of fascinating, like year 7 and year 14, no fruit. And so there will be years when I have people that want to do corporate responsibility events where I just don't have anything for them to pick. And I will apologize profusely, but I'm really not in charge of the rain. And I think they know that, so I think that you can explain to people, that it's a certain opportunity. It requires a certain amount of physical ability. If you guys look on the Benevity platform and search Reno Gleaning Project, you can see how I've structured my my opportunity and explained to people what is involved. And that's kind of recruiting groups and individuals. And so there's a lot of information on that. Also, renogleaningproject.org. It's very verbose, but everything's on there. And so I made that on my phone while I was at work. So don't judge. We're working on it.
Thanks, Pamela. Those were some really great tips. I love your insight there. Hillary, have you guys ever, turned down corporations because either your mission didn't align or the opportunity didn't align? And how do you handle that conversation, telling them no?
Yeah, we have an organization locally, a recovery organization that we work with, who they volunteer with us every week, and they actually are delivery drivers for us. And we've had recipient sites who told us they didn't agree with us having volunteers from this other organization delivering food. And they had a laundry list of
Reasons.
reasons why. And drivers, we need their help in order to move the food. And then I pivoted those drivers away from that site
Mhm.
and sent them to other places. And I was actually just talking to one of my coworkers about this the other day because it was definitely based in personal bias from the recipient site, and I was not prepared for that sort of coordination. But the organization we've been working with that drives for us has been driving for us since before I started at Salvation Farm, so at least 5 years. And they're reliable. And we give them food. They're a private organization, and they um, help people recover from addiction. And everybody deserves food. The only other time I've turned down a corporate glean opportunity was one company wanted to basically offer a, sorry, my toddler made it into the room. Um, they wanted to offer a private glean opportunity for people who were essentially on vacation. Um, and it was
Mm-mm.
just a really odd, um, it just didn't suit our mission well, and we
Like
didn't have a farm in the area. Yeah,
gleaning tourism?
yeah, like a gleaning excursion, like sort of like a cruise package idea. And they were gonna have it was for mountain bikers. And they
Huh.
wanted to like mountain bike. They wanted to bike to the farm, and I was like, no.
Mm. Mhm.
Nope, I don't, that's not, we can't ask farmers if they can have a bunch of bicycles on the farm. Um,
That's
yeah, and I
interesting.
would say too, I just wanted to add, in sort of in response to some of Pam's things, if that's okay. Um, we do actually engage new families, um, young families in gleaning, and I'm working on a grant today that's going to set up a multi-generational glean with WIC families and Meals on Wheels and the like Council on Aging volunteers. So we're going to have them all go pick blueberries, and all of the blueberries gleaned will either go home with WIC families or be donated to the Meals on Wheels kitchen. And then the Meals on Wheels kitchen is going to prepare a meal and offer a community dinner for the WIC families, the volunteers that pick the food, and anybody else who wants to go. And it's going to be a sort of honorary dinner where we also honor the farmer who we've gleaned with every year for like almost a decade, and she also donates annually. So Salvation Farms, unlike a lot of gleaning organizations, we're more farm centric than we are hunger relief centric. So when we take corporations out to a farm, we teach them about the farm, the farmer talks to the group, and then we encourage them to buy from the farm directly and tell them where the sales outlets for the different farms are that we're at. That's it.
Cool.
Robin, we have just a few minutes left. I'm going to come back to you. Has it ever gone wrong with the corporate green, or is there groups that you just don't have back out? I'm just curious. We've talked a lot about the benefits, but what can go wrong in these experiences? And I know you've held a lot of corporate groups, so I'm curious. What does go wrong when it goes wrong? And that's
Um,
to Robin.
we've, let me see. We've never really had to turn away a group. And if that situation happened, it would be because of our values and our mission not aligning. And then we wouldn't partner with them. We haven't had that happen as of yet out in the fields. Of course, we've had situations arise in the fields. I mean, who hasn't? You know, we just tend to go with the flow. You know, like most people, we've had trucks get stuck, we've had partners' trucks get stuck, and things like that. But we just tend to go with the flow. I mean, there's really nothing we can do once we're out there but just handle the situation. But I don't know. We don't really have problems with our corporate partners.
Let me ask you one other question then, since that was an easy one for you. If there's someone on the call looking to start to engage corporations who currently doesn't, what's like the first piece of advice you would give them?
I would say contact your United Way, and get in touch with those type of partners. Reach out to your local United Way, reach out to your local AMCOR, your reading coalitions, your schools, your churches, your local people. Your locals are the ones that are going to help you the most, but mostly your schools, your churches, your United Way. The United Way is your biggest partner. First of all, they can give you grant money. The United Way has done so much for our organization. I have a 9x12 cooler in one of my warehouses that was granted to us from the United Way. And if it weren't for that cooler, our pantries wouldn't be keeping fresh produce that we're bringing in. And we'd be having to give it all away to the other bigger distribution partners because, they can store it and we can't. And then we'd have to be getting it back from the bigger partners. But thanks to the United Way, we get to keep it and give it out to our own pantry system. But the United Way is wonderful. So not only are we getting grant money from them, we're getting volunteers from them. They're spreading the word about us. Everybody they talk to, they're telling them what a great partner we are. They're great partners. They're doing half the legwork for me. But the churches and the temples and the schools are fantastic corporate partners because they come back year after year after year. And before my season is even starting, they are blowing up my email trying to schedule 6 months in advance. And it's just wonderful because that is just a never ending absorption of volunteers. Those kids will come year after year after year. Once you get in with a school, and the private schools, they'll just keep coming because they don't have the restrictions that public schools have. And they have a more flexibility with their buses, with their permission slips. The private schools are fantastic. They just keep coming and coming, and the kids will glean. They love it. They love the education they're getting. So with the schools in the gleaning program, we get to educate them. We get to teach them about the farm. We get to teach them about where their food is coming from. They get to learn about how hard the work is and what a migrant worker is going through. And actually, half the time they're working side by side with a migrant worker because we are on a working farm. So sometimes within 100 feet, 500 feet, we are working side by side with people that are picking our food. And that is a great experience for these children as young as 3rd grade to see where their food is coming from and how hard it takes to get that food from the field to the truck to their table. And we're educating them to let them know that everything that they are picking is going to be on somebody's table tomorrow, maybe even
Well,
this
thank
afternoon.
you.
So
Thanks
those
so
are
much, Robin. I'm only cutting you off because we're out of time.
I see that. Thank you,
But
Sean.
I appreciate so much all of you, all the panelists today taking time. We could have had this conversation for 2 hours, maybe even 3. So much great information shared. I learned a bunch today, or so many things to think about. So yeah, just thank you guys all so much. Thank you for coming. Please come to the symposium. If you can't come in person, register online. That's a sliding scale payment. So if 75 is too much for you, pay what you can and attend online. So we'd love to see you all. Thank you.
I also just posted to check out Just Serve and register your project to get more volunteers. I have a relationship with the Just Serve coordinator here in town, but it's justserve.org. And you can look up Reno Gleaning Project and get some of my verbiage off of there because and you can copy any of my verbiage from my website with credit. So just feel free to just cut and paste 18 years of verbiage, kids. It's free.
Thank you. Thank you for making that available.
Just like the
That's so
fruit.
kind.
It's free.
Oh.
Thank you. Thanks
All right,
for
all. Have a great
organizing
day.
this, Kathy
Thanks
and
for
Sean.
having me, Sean.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Onward.
Bye.
Back to
Hi,
the salt.
all.
Bye.
Back to the salt mines. I have to go back to
salt
my
mines.
pain. I go back to my pain. I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you, Pam.
And all the work you do. And call me anytime. I had a lot of fun.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you.
very appreciated. One thing, Pam, if you can send any verbiage for your radio spots, I think that's very, very unique what you do. So if you can send that to me, I can push it out to everyone who's been on the call.
I don't even, I go on live and talk, and it's
Okay.
just, it's
Awesome.
a random, it's a random, access, just, flow of 18 years of passion. But I've cultivated some relationships, and this is another thing, just for another meeting, Radiothon. We have some local nonprofits that have been doing radiothons, and they're making like $300,000. And so we haven't done that yet, but it's a really like low budge way for you to go and fundraise. And once you've created, like, this is something that probably that Cross Ministries could do. Like, once people know your organization and your community, it makes sense. The first time I went on the radio, I got like way too many people calling for gleaning, and I didn't have enough volunteers. But now that I have over 100 volunteers, I feel more brave and like I could do it. But I also would recommend to everyone, do your corporate outreach and do your radiothons and do your TV spots not during the fruit season. If you have an off season, that's when you want to do your outreach. Because for us, trying to do the outreach and trying to do the speaking while we're picking, because we're picking at night and on the weekends, we can't do it all, So we have 2 seasons. We have the outreach and the fundraising season, and we have the fruit collection and delivery season. And we try not to let those 2 get mixed up. Picking's always free. Education, not so much. Okay. Thank you. I'll let you guys go. I'll
Thank
leave.
you, guys.
I'll leave. So you can
Yeah.
get
Bye,
on.
bye.
Okay. How do I get out here? No idea.